Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome to another great episode of Chronicles of a Modern Day Samurai. I am your host, as always, Zeus Kang. Today, I'm super excited because we're at a free format. I like doing these podcasts a lot more. The other YouTube videos that I do are fun. They're informational, and I think it delivers a lot of value. But I really like this format a lot more because I can just kind of wing it. I can kind of get out off what's on my chest as far as the topics I want to talk about. So on today's episode, we're going to be talking about my short-lived journey so far in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu as a white belt. All right, so let's get right into the topic here today of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Man, I tell you what, from what I see on social media, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has really taken off like crazy. I mean, you could even say it's trending. You know, a lot of things that we do nowadays in 2023 are influenced by social media, whether it's TikTok or Instagram or YouTube. But I wanted to kind of share my personal journey of doing jiu-jitsu. So I'll kind of take you back. I actually started off when I was really younger doing Taekwondo. I think I started when I was 6 or 7 years old, and I actually ended up getting my black belt. And as I was kind of nearing my teenage years of like 14, 15. I was starting to get really serious into maybe competing at more of a national, maybe international level. So I remember with my dojo coach or master at the time, saying to me and saying, "Hey, you're really good. Do you want to start competing and training with like the junior Olympic team?" And I said, "Well, man, that would be a great opportunity." But we all know what happened when we're 15, 16 years old. I mean, we're in high school. And for me at that time, for me, it was more important, to be popular in school and to be famous, and not famous, but like, popular in high school and get the girls and hang out and have friends. That was more my immature priority than, trying to be the best Taekwondo, fighter or player in the world. So, I mean, do I regret it? No, I don't, because I had a great high school. I ended up, in lieu of continuing to do Taekwondo, I ended up playing football in high school, or American football for the European listeners out there. But no, I wouldn't take it back, because I learned so much, and I made so many great friends, and my experience playing football in high school in America was fantastic. I mean, I really enjoyed it, and it kind of kickstarted my athletic career, if you want to call it. That's how I also got into like powerlifting and bodybuilding, and that was really kind of the catalyst for everything moving forward in terms of my athletic career. So no, I don't regret it. Do I get curious sometimes? Yeah, I think so. I mean, I wonder, like, hey, what if I would have continued doing Taekwondo? And I'm 38 years old now, and I know a lot of these athletes, their peak performance, kind of is in their early to mid 20s. And so, at that time, if I had stayed until I was 22 or 23, I would have done it for 10, 15 plus years. So I probably could have reached a pretty high level. I was pretty athletic. Just to kind of start off. So, no, I'm curious to see if I stuck with Taekwondo, what would have happened. I mean, would I have made it to the Olympics? Would I have competed internationally? I don't know. I mean, that probably would have been the case, but what point is there now to talk about the what ifs? The path that I decided. But, to give you some recommendations if you are a parent out there. I remember, because when I was younger, my parents were, they're immigrants, and they didn't speak English. We had immigrated from South Korea, and I literally started school like a week after I touched down in America. So I knew nothing. I remember, on the way home on the school bus, which is a new concept, because in Korea, there aren't such things. People take public transportation, or the kids walk to school and back. And so I remember being on the school bus, and the school bus actually like passing my house. And at the time I was like 6 years old, and I remember just being like really frightful that like I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know how to go home. I didn't know how to speak English. So my parents, obviously, they couldn't really provide much guidance in terms of sports and athletics. They just sent us to school and said, "Hey, do your best." I mean, there was no homeschooling, no, "Hey, let me help you with your homework." So, if you're a son or daughter of immigrant parents, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it is what it is. Again, I'm not like faulting them for it. I think I've learned a lot from living my childhood that way. I was forced to kind of grow up a lot earlier, a lot sooner. And, I attest to my now kind of maturity and like street smartness. So based on that. So I love my parents to death. I'm just kind of explaining exactly the way it was. Again, if you're the son or daughter of immigrant parents, I don't need to explain any further as far as what that was like. But they struggled to make a great living for us, and they succeeded. And so, but in doing that, they weren't there so much in terms of my athletic involvement or sports or anything like that. So I remember, playing football in high school. They may have came to like 2 games. I know in the American culture, the parents being at all the soccer games and the gymnastics competitions and stuff like that is very important, which I really love about the culture. I just didn't have that. I was kind of on my own to do the sports or whatever I was interested in. So I remember showing up at football tryouts and the coach was like, well, we need your insurance. I'm like, what's insurance? You needed insurance to play football. So I ended up getting some sort of like, insurance through the school. That's how I ended up playing. But growing up, I didn't have insurance like my whole life. I didn't have insurance until I got my first like real job. And again, like to Europeans, who have subsidized and federalized healthcare, that might seem like a surprise, but in America, even still, there's a lot of people who don't have insurance, and it's a scary thing. I have a firefighter buddy in Virginia. Shout out to Jeff if you're watching this or listening to this. But he actually told me that like he would show up to like car accidents, and these people are injured. They just got in a car accident, and the firefighters and stuff like that, and the police are trying to help him, like get them into an ambulance. And he would literally say that these people would deny getting on the ambulance for help. They're bleeding out of their head. They probably have broken bones. They're in severely, critical condition, and they refuse to get in the ambulance simply because they don't have insurance. And so they don't want to have that financial burden of a gigantic and unmanageable medical bill. It's sad. You think the U.S., again, the most prosperous country in the world, it's and the fact that we have people like denying the firefighters from helping them is really a sad thing. So, but again, I grew up same thing. Luckily, I dodged all the bullets. Like as far as broken bones or illnesses. I don't know what we would have done if we would have gotten like seriously ill, as kids. Because I can only imagine like that would have been something that would have probably brought down the house, as far as the financial liabilities. So I think we got lucky. Again, my family, my mom and my dad and my sister, we didn't get sick. So not having insurance wasn't a big deal. So we ended up just paying out of pocket, whether we needed to get our tooth fixed or whatever. So. So kind of going back to the topic of sports, I ended up playing football in high school. I didn't go to a collegiate level. I wasn't, my ability and my size. And again, I don't want to play the race card, but at that time, back in like 2000, late 1990s, you didn't see a lot of like Asian athletes, playing at a collegiate and professional level, especially in a sport like American football. So I remember going to like these combines, and I did quite well, but. I think, at the time I wasn't very heavy. I was athletic, but I wasn't very big. And, you had these, 230-pound linebackers, like already signed to West Virginia and to Michigan and to the USC. So it was very competitive. And again, I'm not playing the race card. Had I been, more athletic, perhaps I would have won. But the collegiate level didn't really work out for me. So. I ended up doing a lot of different things, like, in terms of like snowboarding and playing other sports, and again, powerlifting and getting into weight training. So, I've been athletic pretty much my whole life. I actually ended up getting back into Jiu Jitsu, I would say when I was like 20. I ended up signing up at a Gracie gym in Alexandria, Virginia. But this is going to seem like a cop-out. I still struggle with like skin complexions. I get like acne and stuff like that. And back then I had really, really bad acne. It was to the point where, I was looking for medical solutions, topical solutions. I was like pretty desperate because it was pretty bad. And, going to jiu-jitsu, as you can imagine, I mean, you're rolling and you're rubbing your face and there's like germs and sweat and stuff like that. And, it was like, it was leaving like permanent scars on my face. And so I really had to kind of sit down and say, okay, like, do I continue to do jiu-jitsu or do I stop and then avoid having permanent like facial scarring, And it seemed, again, if you don't have any skin complexion issues, you're probably thinking like that's probably the saddest fucking excuse for not continuing to do jiu-jitsu. But if you do have issues with your skin, I'm sure you can empathize on how stressful that is. So I'm 38 years old and I still struggle with skin issues. I mean, it kind of sucks, but it can always be worse. There are worse things that can happen to me. So I accept it and I deal with it. Does it suck? Yeah, but what can you do? So I ended up doing jiu-jitsu back then for really like a month or two. And I just made the call and said, hey, I don't want to jeopardize, scarring on my face and it's getting really bad. So I ended up stopping. And so that was 15, 20 years ago. Had I continued, and didn't have that skin issue, I probably, again, would have been, like a black belt, I assume. But that was kind of the first time that I got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It was a small little school, again, in Alexandria, Virginia, that was an affiliate of the Gracie family. So, but I never looked back. I ended up going to school and, I did a bunch of traveling and stuff like that, which was amazing. So recently, let's fast forward to 2023. I signed up for jiu-jitsu at this really amazing gym here in Copenhagen called Arte Suave. To shout out to the gym, it's an amazing gym. So I met some really, really incredible people there. My coaches are amazing. They're really instructional and they're very helpful. And I've been doing it for now. We're going on week 9. I signed up for a 10-week kind of crash course, like an intro to BJJ. So by next week, I'll have completed my 10 weeks intro class. And at that point, actually, I have a competition coming up. It may seem a little bit early. Again, I don't know, all the submissions and, my flow is still a little bit, it's still a little bit rough. And, but I think after talking to some of my coaches and after thinking about it, I'm just going to kind of go into it and see what I can do. Everyone I talk to at my gym, if I ask for their advice and say, if I talk to a purple belt or a black belt, it's pretty much across the board, and then say, hey, and they tell me and say, well, if I can go back in time, I would have competed a lot sooner than I did. Most people waited, 2-3 years, before, competing in their first competition. So, why the hell not? There's very little to lose. If I, of course, I'm going to go into it wanting to win the whole thing, and I feel confident that I can, but. Jiu-jitsu is one of those things that it really humbles you, because you could be rolling with a blue belt or a purple belt, and they're smaller in stature, they're lighter, and they may look weaker. But jiu-jitsu is one of those sports where it's the one sport by its origin. It gives the smaller guy a chance at beating or defending himself against a bigger guy. That's really the origin of how Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu started with the Gracie family down in Brazil. So it's really humbling because, again, I'm not a huge guy, but I am, walking around weight 92 kilos, maybe 205 in terms of pounds. And I'm 6 foot tall, and I weight train. I train 4 or 5 times a week. So I would consider myself kind of compared to the other classmates or other jiu-jitsu players, I would consider myself kind of stronger. And so it's easy for me or someone that does kind of rely on their strength and size to try to overpower people. And what I learned in jiu-jitsu is that with technique and experience and just overall more mat time, again, in a blue belt or a purple belt or a higher belt, they could really work you. I remember 2 weeks ago, I went to an open mat on Saturday and I was rolling with a purple belt. I must have had probably, no kidding, maybe 30 pounds, probably around there on this guy. I'm at about 200 pounds right now. And he was probably about $165, 175 pounds. And so, yeah, I mean, he was so technical. I mean, some positions I didn't really know what to do. I mean, granted, to my defense, I'm 9 weeks into this, and so I wasn't really expecting too much. But I have, I'm confident. I'm not cocky, but I'm confident that I can kind of hold my own. But it is really, really humbling. And if you haven't done jiu-jitsu, or if you haven't rolled on the mat with at all, or with a higher belt, it can be a really humbling experience. And so that's a part of why I kind of joined jiu-jitsu, because it is one of those things that there's no substitute to putting in time. You just have to do more mat time. You have to become a student of the sport. You have to want to learn. You have to want to get better. And that's really over time how you get better. There's just no forcing it. And so I think I really like that aspect of it, because for most things in my life, I've kind of just muscled things. I've muscled things into place. I've forced things into place to make it my own, and I've forced things to happen because, just sheer willpower. But jiu-jitsu allows you, or gives you the opportunity as a jiu-jitsu player, as a student of the sport, to kind of forces you to slow down, to think about what you're doing, without just reacting. And I think that's probably one of the greatest lessons that jiu-jitsu is teaching me currently, and that I'm really looking forward to exploring even more about myself. And so I know, I don't know, I'm not experienced enough to get into the whole philosophy of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I mean, like I said, I'm just starting to get started on it. But if you're a black belt out there, or if you're a grandmaster out there, I mean, you guys know that this sport, this martial art is a lot, it's more than just a martial art. It's more than just being able to defend yourself in a situation where, things can go south very quickly. It's a journey. It's a personal journey that people use jiu-jitsu to learn about themselves and to develop, personal development. So that's really, really why I like it. Again, it's into the ether right now. Jiu-jitsu is trending really hard with, people like Joe Rogan promoting it. And, but again, I'm not just on the bandwagon. Again, to say that I wasn't completely influenced by social media would be a lie. We're all subject to social media and what we see. So it was kind of on the back of my mind. I was looking for different martial arts to kind of get into. I did do some boxing training back in Hawaii for a couple months, and I really enjoyed that. But for me, at this point in my life, being 38 years old, being a father, I never thought in a million years that when people older than me, like when I was in my 20s, said, oh, wait till you hit your 40s and wait till you hit your 50s. You just won't be able to recover as fast. I always looked at them and said, that's you, bro. That's, you're old, you're not active. And so I kind of brushed it off, and I kind of looked down on them. And now that I'm kind of nearing 40s, I am really faced with the fact that I am having, not a more difficult time, but more I need more time to recover, which is a significant part of being able to perform at a high level. So, yeah, right now I've got a shoulder injury that is just nagging. It's not debilitating. I can still, go practice and train. But just simple things like picking up my kid, just really nagging. I think it's like a pinched nerve or whatever it is. I am going to live with it. Again, I could go to the doctors and get a scan and stuff like that. I'm not going to have any surgery done to it. I'm not just going to do that. So, I'm just kind of managing it now. I also did sprain my thumb pretty badly about 7 weeks ago. Again, sparring in jiu-jitsu. And that's really more of kind of an annoying injury, because when it's like anything else. Especially if you have back problems. You don't understand the importance of how much you need these body parts until they become useless or injured. The opposable thumb, again, is something unique to human beings and monkeys and primates. But it's amazing how much you need your thumb. Just for me, just to pick up a cup of water, it's painful right now. So I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to deal with it. I usually tape it up during training. Yesterday I was rolling on the mat and I hit it again, which is really sensitive. But I've been talking to some people that have been doing jiu-jitsu for a long time. I've been watching other YouTube clips, and it seems like injuries are just a part of the sport. Just like any sport, right? So it's really just a your way of managing it and kind of working through it. If these injuries were super serious to where I was, it was really debilitating, I would obviously take rest. I'm not that reckless, but I do feel like, okay, it's something that I could help manage. I'm bandaging it, I'm taping it. I'm making sure that I'm not, doing submissions on the shoulder. I'm telling my training partners about my injury. So I feel like I'm managing it correctly. What's the right thing to do? I mean, I really probably should take 6 weeks just to rest it to make sure it's healed correctly, but I don't have that kind of patience, to be honest with you. So I'm just gonna work through it. So, but no, I mean, I'm approaching 9 weeks doing jiu-jitsu. Obviously, I'm still a white belt, but I really love it. I mean, I know a lot of people who start jiu-jitsu say they're addicted to it right away. I don't know that I would say I'm addicted, but I really enjoy it. I have the time now and the capacity to go to jiu-jitsu twice a week plus open mat, so 3 times a week. I think for me, that's probably the best balance. I think if I did another day, it would be a little bit too taxing on my body, especially with my current injuries. To go twice a week, I think would be okay, but I think I would kind of lose out on a lot of the momentum because I'm still a beginner. So to be able to train with a coach twice a week and then roll on the mat for open mats on Saturdays is working for me. And of course, I'm super excited and a little nervous, to be honest with you, for my competition coming up in August of 19th. Our gym is actually hosting the tournament, so I'm really excited about that. I mean, it's going to be a little bit comforting knowing that I've got home court advantage, because we are competing at my gym. But yeah, I'm really looking forward. I don't really know what to expect. I mean, of course, I'm looking forward, and I'm going to do my best to win the whole thing. But you never know. I mean, there's a lot of talented people out there. I've rolled with a couple white belts, at my gym where I was just like, wow, like they're really technical. Now I'm 10 weeks into it, and there's still white belts that are 2 years, I mean, so there's a big difference. I mean, you could be a 2-stripe white belt with 2.5 years experience, or you could be a white belt with 9 weeks experience like I am. And that amount of time that they've trained, I mean, about 1.5 years difference makes a huge difference, and I learned. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be competing in the 88 kilo class. I'm sitting at about 90 kilos right now. So I do need to shed off a couple of kilos. And I know my coach said that they're going to be weighing in that morning with my gi on. So the gi weighs about 2 kilos. So for me, it's not very difficult to drop weight. I really think that I can make the weight. Obviously, it'll be a lot more advantageous for me to be at the upper end of my class, my weight class, being on the lower. Because if I didn't make the 88, then I would mean that I would have to enter into, I think, the 88 to 96, which is a huge range. I think, I mean, to go against the guys that are almost 100 kilos would be, a little bit more challenging. Again, I'm not saying that I wouldn't, but it would be a little bit more challenging. But yeah, I'm going to try to see if I can qualify for the 88 kilos. And then if I do, I think I'll be okay. I'm pretty confident. Obviously I need to work on some of my transitions. I feel comfortable with most of my submissions. Yeah, I mean, this week I'm really focusing on just getting a lot more mat time, working on some of my escapes and stuff like that. But I'll be sure to record it for you guys and then to post it, because I'm sure, some of you guys may be interested on what my first competition looks like. Wish me well. I hope I win. But I hope I don't injure myself, more importantly, because I want to continue training. But yeah, I mean, it's something I haven't really competed in. I guess that would be one of the things that I'm really looking forward to, is because I haven't competed in a sporting event or something like this in a very long time. And so I think the last thing that I did that was competitive was, snowboard competitions in college. And that was a long time ago. So I'm really looking forward to that excitement that builds up, for any of you guys that compete, that nervousness. I'm really looking forward to that, because I think, I don't know, it's just a really exciting part of life. And so, and also too, I'm really looking forward to see how I stack up against other people that are at my kind of skill set, my skill level. So we'll see. I'm really looking forward to it. I am excited, of course, and I am a little bit anxious, but man, it's also a great feeling being a little bit nervous, it's still about a month away, but every time I think about it, it makes me a little bit nervous. And so, it's kind of a cool feeling. And so I'm really looking forward to it. So, I don't know how much you guys out there are looking into getting into jiu-jitsu or martial arts, or if you just started. I would love to get your feedback on what your experience is like. My experience has been fantastic. I'm getting into, again, as I mentioned, competitions. Competing may be something you are looking into, or maybe you've like considered, but maybe I'm not really sure. So be sure to tune in. I'm going to be I'm going to be uploading my competition for one, and then afterwards, I'm going to be doing another video on my experience on what my first competition as a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu white belt was like. So if you're on the fence, then you can get a really kind of authentic and in your face and unadulterated testimony as to what your first jiu-jitsu competition is like. So I'll share that with you, and I'm really excited to share that with you guys. So that's it. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a lot more of these videos as I go along and continue my jiu-jitsu journey. If you have just started jiu-jitsu yourself, or looking to start in the future, or have considered it but not really sure, you're kind of on the fence, or if you're a very experienced jiu-jitsu player, whether you're blue, purple, brown, or black belt, I would love to get in touch with you guys to get your feedback and just to build kind of a small community. Because I mean, what good is building a community if we don't interact? So if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if you're listening on Spotify, thank you so much for your support. Until next time, guys, thank you so much.